Hey, guess what I found? I found Honeycrisp apples at our local HEB that normally, if this is a 2.5 pound bag, no, a 2 pound bag normally runs $3.97. I got each bag for 99 cents. So I decided I was going to buy me some apples and make apple crisps that I can put in the freezer. So this is what I'm going to be doing this morning. I'm starting off, I've got my spiralizer attachment stuck to my KitchenAid mixer, and I'm going to be spiralizing, which means peeling, spiraling, and then I will ultimately cut them into chunks for multitudes of apple crisp. Yummy, yummy dessert, especially in the fall. There's something about having that warm apple, kind of maybe caramely, brown sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, all of those spices together, and serve it with a little dollop of whipped cream or your favorite vanilla ice cream. So I've got work to do. Let's get started. Okay, I'm getting ready to do some apple peeling and coring and slicing. Here we go. Okay, friends, so that was 12 pounds of organic Honeycrisp apples for $6. Now, that to me is incredible. Now, obviously, I have all of my little spiralized apples right here. They're mostly peeled. I like a little bit of peel on them anyway, so I'm just gonna chop them up, and then I'll show you how I'm gonna make an apple crisp out of them. But one of the things that I think it's very important that we take a look at our waste. Most people would take the apple peels, the cores, and the tips that didn't get spiralized and just throw them away, or maybe compost them. But I am going to look up a recipe. I think I can make some apple jelly out of this, and then I'm really getting the best bang for my buck with my $6 worth of organic, 12 pounds organic Honeycrisp apples. And if you've never had a Honeycrisp, oh, they are so good. They're sweet, they're tart, they're like crisp like a green apple, but sweet like a Fuji. And these are gonna make the best apple crisp. I'll be right back. Okay, so I told you I was gonna find a recipe to do something with those apple peels and cores. And so I am going to be making some apple scrap jelly, and I will show you more about that at a later time. What I've got going behind me is I've got all of those apple peels and cores in a great big Dutch oven with a lot of water. So for about 20 apples, you want to use between about 7 cups of water. So I've got about 14 cups of water in there with all of those apple peels. And then the little caps that I had, I think I'm going to dehydrate those because they're thin enough and they've got the skin. I think I'm going to make some little cinnamon apple crisps. Yay! So anyway, I'll share those recipes with you later, but right now we're going to go ahead, and I've got my prep station behind me, and I'm going to chop up all of those apples and get them prepared for the apple crisp. Okay, so I have some lemon juice. One of the things that's really important when you are working with cut fruit, especially fruit that's really sweet like apples, is that they will brown really fast. And so the best way to do it, and I couldn't get into my lemon juice bottle, so I punctured 2 holes in the top. So it's a shaker bottle. Anyway, put some lemon juice on the apples, on all of the cut pieces, and then just kind of mix it up, and that will help slow the browning process. Be right back. So I have my apple peel and cores still back here simmering, and I'll be turning them off pretty soon. But one of the things I wanted to say is when you are making apple pies or any kind of staple as far as like a dessert. There is nothing like the old hand-me-down cookbooks. This was my mother's. This is the Betty Crocker's Picture Cookbook. I don't even know how old it is, probably back in the 50s. And what I'm doing is I am using the ingredients for the apple pie, but then I'm going to make it a French apple pie crumb topping. So, because I'm using a 9x13, I'm using a 9x13 for tonight because I'm actually entertaining some of my friends, and so we're going to have some soup and some apple pie for dessert. And so I have got over 8 cups of apples here. Now, each pie, if you're to make like a 9-inch pie, you would use about 6 cups of apples, 5 to 6 cups of apples. This is almost 10. And again, I have some of the skins on there, and that's okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to sprinkle, let me get a spoon, I'll be right back. Sorry, I'm going to sprinkle in just, there's my scooper, a little bit of flour. And what this does is it just helps make a thick sauce that goes with the apples. So I'm just going to sprinkle it in here, and then I'm going to use my spoon, and I'm going to toss it because I want to make sure that the apples all get coated with the flour. Then I'm going to add my sugar and my spices. So looks like that's pretty good. Get that all mixed. And now, whoops, I'm flipping apples out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a cup of sugar. And I'm doing this is a half cup measure. So I'm going to do 2 of these. And the reason that I'm using sugar is because even though these are Honeycrisp apples, you still want them to be, you want the apple pie to be really sweet, okay? So I've got 2 cups of sugar there, and oh, I need my measuring spoons, hang on. Okay, and now I'm gonna add in a tablespoon of cinnamon, and that is because I'm making such a large apple crisp. So I got a tablespoon of cinnamon, and then I like a little bit of ground cloves, just a tiny bit. I'm just gonna like sprinkle a little bit in there. You see that? Just a touch. And then I'll probably put in a little bit of nutmeg as well. Once this is all incorporated, I'm going to grease my 9x13 pan or spray it, and then I'm gonna pour the apples in. Then all I have left to do is to make my crumb topping. I'll sprinkle that on top, and then I'll pop it in the oven. So I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so my crumb topping is super simple. It's just a half cup butter and a half cup brown sugar. And then you're going to cream it together. Oh, I gotta plug this in first. I had unplugged it. Safety first. Erase the bowl. So I'm gonna get this all creamed together, and then I'm gonna be adding in a cup of flour. Now, when this comes together, it's all nice and smooth, but once you start putting the flour in, it's going to get crumbly, and that's exactly what we want. And then just turn it real slow when you first put the flour in. And you don't want it to mix completely through, you just want it to get that crumbly texture. And I'm putting in a little bit more flour because honestly I put in a little extra butter and a little extra brown sugar because I've got a 9x13 down here. Now it is looking really good, almost completely done. And then once it is all incorporated, it's just a bunch of crumbles, and I'm going to sprinkle it all over the top. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and I can also cut it in with a pastry cutter or 2 forks because we want it to be super crumbly. So now that I've got it all into small, tiny crumbs, now all I'm going to do is spread it over the top. Just spread it over the top, and we're going to try and get every corner. Now, one of the things I will tell you is that when you are baking this, especially if it's the least bit full, I would always recommend putting some kind of like a drip pan of some sort, like a cookie sheet or something underneath, so that you are not going to make a mess in your oven. So this is what it looks like. I'm just going to go in the oven, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the oven at 400 degrees for 50 to 60 minutes. So I always start on the low end. I set my timer, I check it, see if it looks nice and bubbly and everything. And then if I need a couple more minutes, then I can. But if you can never go backwards. So whenever you get a time frame of 50 to 60, 35 to 40, always go with the lower time first. Then you can always add extra because you have to account for the different elements in the oven. Oh, it's 400 degrees. So let's put this in the oven right now. Okay, time to clean up. I'll bring it back to you when it's all done.